So the first control structure that we're going to look at is if and else statements. Now the if statement will only run a piece of code if a certain condition is true. Now to create an if statement, we're first going to type if using the if keyword, and then now you can see we have a red squiggly line. And right now Python expects an expression. So we're going to keep things simple and we're just going to do 5 plus 5 equals 10. And this is our comparison expression. And now to finalize our if statement, we're just going to use the colon character right here. And now we have our if statement. So to create our if statement, we first type in our if keyword right here, followed by a comparison expression, followed by this colon right here. Now we can go write any code we want inside of this if statement, and it will only run if this condition is true. Now one thing to note about if statements is any code that is going to be inside this if statement has to be indented. Now VS Code already indents mine automatically to a level of 4, but some editors will do a level of 2 or maybe just 1. So now we're going to go write our code inside of this if statement right here, and we're going to still keep things simple, so we're going to just print to the terminal and we're going to print correct answer. So now if we run this, we are going to get correct answer right here. And that's exactly what we have. This code will only be executed right here if this expression is true. If it's false, then this expression will never be ran. So let's change this to 4. So 5 plus 4 equals 10. That's false. So if we run this, we get nothing right here. Now this is where the else statement comes in. The else statement is going to run if the condition up here is false. So since our condition up here is false and cannot be run, now we are going to go onto the else statement. And now we can go print whatever we want. So we're just going to print wrong answer, run this, and we get wrong answer like so. And of course we don't have to only just use static numbers like this. We can also put in variables. So I'm going to do var1 and that's going to be equal to 10. And I am going to var2 and that will be equal to 20. So now we can do if var1 is greater than var2, then we can go print correct answer, otherwise print wrong answer. And var1 is actually smaller, so we're going to get wrong answer. So if we run this, we get wrong answer. Or if we want to actually say smaller, we can do smaller like this, and we're going to get correct answer. And we have correct answer. Now this of course is nothing new because we have already covered them briefly in the last section on how to use them, but now let's just go a bit deeper into what we can do with these. So one other thing that we can do with if and else statements is we can have a second if statement instead of just having one if and one else. And to have a second one, we can do elif. And what this means is if this condition is not met, now we're going to go on to the next condition. So let's say, for example, we have var1 and we're checking if var1 is greater than var2. If var1 is greater than var2, then we're going to do var or variable 1 is greater than variable 2. Now elif or else if variable 1 equals variable 2, then we're going to print variable 1 and variable 2 are the same, and then else print variable 1 is smaller than variable 2. So what's going on here? Well, what's going on is we're first comparing if variable 1 is greater than variable 2, which in this case 10 is just not greater than 20, so no. But if it is, then we're going to print variable 1 is greater than variable 2. But since it's not, then we're going to go into this elif block right here. Now, is variable 1 equal to variable 2? And no, variable 1 is not equal to variable 2 because 10 is not equal to 20. So then we're going to go to this else statement. And variable 1 is smaller than variable 2. And that is correct. Variable 1 is smaller than variable 2. So if we run this, we should get variable 1 is smaller than variable 2. So let's run this. And that's exactly what we get. Now, if we change this to, let's say, 30, then we should get var1 is greater than variable 2. And that's exactly what we get here. var1 is greater. And if we change this to 20, we will get variable 1 and variable 2 are the same. Variable 1 and variable 2 are the same. Also, we don't just have to have one elif statement. We can have actually as many as we want. So here we're going to create another elif statement. And we're going to compare if variable 1 is smaller than variable 2, but we're also going to compare if variable 1 is smaller than 0. So we're going to use our logical operator, which we have already discussed that as well, and var1 smaller than 0. So now if this is true, then we can print variable 1 is smaller than var2 and 0. So now we can create another elif statement and we can compare if variable 1 is actually greater than 0. And if it is, then we can say variable 1 is smaller than variable 2, but greater than 0. So technically this else statement would be useless unless for some reason we cannot compare these two. Which, if we can't, we're just going to say can't compare values. Just like that. So now if we run this, let's change this to 30. So what we should get right here is variable 1 is greater than variable 2. And we get variable 1 is greater than variable 2. Now if we make this be the same as variable 2, then we should go into this else if block right here. So if we get this, variable 1 and variable 2 are the same because they are. Now let's say variable 1 is smaller than variable 2, but it's greater than 0. Then what we should get is variable 1 is smaller than variable 2, but greater than 0. So if we run, save this, we get variable 1 is smaller than variable 2, but greater than 0. And that's correct. Now if we do -5, then we should get this one right here. Variable 1 is smaller than variable 2 and 0 because, well, it's smaller than both. And that's exactly what we have here. So this is the power of if and else statements. Now, of course, this was a bit more complex than most. As you start learning more about programming, of course, the topics are going to become a bit more advanced. But you go play around with this, test things out, experiment with this, and I'll see you in the next lesson.